this video, I am joined by my beautiful wife. We are newlyweds. We've been married since April 5th of this year. I'm excited for her to be joining me in this video. Go ahead and say hey to everyone, baby.
Hey, y'all.
Okay, so you got to excuse us because we just waking up not too long ago. But we are newlyweds, and in this video, we're going to discuss marriage. And let's go ahead and get it kicked off with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I ask you to please forgive us our sins, any sins that we committed knowingly and unknowingly. Lord God, we pray that our word reach someone, whether it just reach one person, that's okay. We just pray that you use us, that you give us the right things to say, and just help us as we present in this lesson to your people. And we just thank you for everything you have done and everything you're gonna do. Amen.
Amen.
Well, like I said, we are newlyweds, and we both have been married previously, so we're gonna go ahead and get that out the way. So we just gonna let God use us and just go with the flow, and hopefully we'll be a blessing to you guys. So anyways, we just gonna have an open discussion. So number one on the list.
Well, I think before we get to the list, I think we should talk about a little bit of how we met.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, y'all. We're just two silly people. But he gonna tell y'all how we met.
Okay. Well, I patrol at night, and at the time, my wife was working at a fast food restaurant, and I had just got out of a marriage, and I wasn't really worried about finding someone else or anything like that. I just wanted to be by myself. I just wanted to be single, just do what I have to do, you know, just live my life or whatever. So anyways, let me tell you how God worked. I'm minding my own business now. Because with me working at night, I used to always go to her job, or her ex-job, and I used to get water or some cookies or a milkshake or something like that, you know, just to kind of keep me throughout the night because I had worked long shifts. And one particular night, I go through the drive-thru, and Lord behold, this girl right here was in the drive-thru. But to make a long story short though, like when I saw her, it really stuck with me. Like I couldn't get her out of my head. Like I was just like, wow, like I need to see her again, you know? So it's just like I couldn't sleep, I couldn't think, I couldn't function. And for the next couple of weeks, I didn't see her for a while. I was like prepared. Like I was like, you know, I have to keep going back. I have to keep going back. So I made it my thing to, which I just told her this recently, but I used to spray one little cologne on and stuff. I don't wear cologne at work, but I started wearing cologne at work hoping that I would see her. So I would leave it in the center console in the car, and before I go through the drive-thru, I spray a little bit on me, you know, hoping I'd see her. But a couple of weeks went by before I actually seen her, but eventually we end up seeing each other again, and here we are now. What's your version of it?
Basically, of what he said, you know, he came to the drive-thru and it was just, he came, he used to get his cookies, his shakes, his fruit punch slushies, but you know. But his face was very, you know, it was something that you couldn't forget. Let's see, I actually talked to him. His intentions was to talk to me, but it just didn't turn out that way. So, you know, me being me, silly as I am, had talked to him. I was like, oh, you need somebody to cook for you. Like, why you keep coming up and getting milkshakes and cookies? Like, you don't have nobody to cook for you? He was like, no. I was like, well, look at God. Which is what I said, and then we exchanged numbers. Before he can make it up down the street, I ended up calling him. He was all nervous and stuff, but he was all nervous and stuff, but it was fun just to be able to just talk to him. And then I think, cause let me tell you what's funny is we hadn't even had our first date. He came to my job at the time, which was McDonald's, and we were out. I hadn't even clocked in yet. I was getting ready to clock in, and he was talking about marriage then. He was like, how I was gonna have to stand on a bucket to kiss him, and
Cause she too short.
cause I was too short, and of course we had our parking lot days where, look, I would work I would get off at like 10 o'clock at night, and before I went home, I had to see him. Like it would be an hour sometimes, 45 minutes, or maybe longer. Like I had to see him because, or sometimes I would get off and go home and then come all the way back on that side of town to go see him or to meet up with him. So yeah, that's how that went.
And here we are now. Wow. God got a way of doing things, because sometimes we be thinking one way, but he have, a different plan for us. Because like I said, I wasn't thinking about nobody. Like I said, I had came out of a marriage and I was just chilling. That's the mindset I have. I'm gonna continue to go to church. I'm gonna work my 2 jobs. I'm gonna take care of my kids, and that's it. But she came along and she changed everything, and I'm so thankful for her because she's such a wonderful person. And we're gonna talk more about some different things. But I just really, really love this woman so much. This is my number one right here. This is my baby right here. She's so beautiful, and I tell her that all the time. So, like I said, we both been married before, so this ain't like we perfect or anything like that. We're just gonna discuss some different topics, and then we may open up and share some things about ourselves, because I don't care.
And I don't either.
No one is perfect. We all have a past. We all made mistakes, and hopefully this video can be helpful. So, love. Number one, we got love on here. So love in the marriage, the scriptures that we have is 1 Peter 4:8, and we have 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 8. And it talks about love. So when you think about love in a relationship, what comes to mind? And how important is that?
Love is patient, love is kind, but also love is important in a relationship because God wanted us to love our husbands as we loved him.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Love is very, very important. You have to love each other, and love isn't just about what you say, it's about what you do. When you tell each other you love each other, you want to actually feel that love.
And you want to show it.
Yeah, you want to show it and you want to feel it. Even if you're upset, you still have to show it, or even if you're going through something, you still have to show that love, because, we went through that, before we got married. We'll get in arguments and, different things to be said and stuff like that. And it's just like, we both had to kind of take a back seat and kind of like really reevaluate. And I remember one time, you might not remember this, but remember we was arguing one time and I was like, baby, how about let's try to do something a little different, with our arguments. Instead of doing this and doing that, like we normally do when we argue, let's switch it up and do something completely different or whatever. And that's what we started doing. Whenever the temperature started rising, I give her a hug, or I kiss her or something like that, and then that'll help bring things down where it should be. So that's one thing we both learn. Love isn't about what you say out your mouth, it's about what you do, as well. Because I want to feel love, she want to feel love, everyone want to feel love. And love isn't conditional, it's unconditional. It doesn't matter the situation, the circumstance, I still love you, I'm still here for you. And me being the man in the relationship, I will die for her. This is my queen, this is my everything, so I will die for her, and she know that. I will always protect her. It doesn't matter, and that's my job. So love is very important because God loved us. He gave us his only son. And then we know how he sacrificed his life, and he died for each and every last one of us. And it's funny because remember the other day I asked the kids, I said, hey, would you die for your brother? Would you die for your sister? The kids was like, no. But he did the ultimate sacrifice for us, and he died on the cross for us. And it's just like, at the end of the day, would you die for your sister or your brother? And most people probably would say no, but Jesus died for all of us, so it just don't get no better than that. Let's go ahead and move on to number 2. You have anything else with love? Okay, number 2, we have forgiveness. That's Ephesians 4:32. How important you think forgiveness is as far as in being in a relationship or marriage?
Forgiveness is, one of the most important things, because how can you call yourself a Christian if you don't forgive or you don't let go of stuff? Because God forgave us, and He still forgives us every day. So for things that we do, knowing or unknowing. So forgiveness is very important.
Very important. Yeah, you're right. Forgiveness. And a lot of times in a relationship, especially because we're focusing on a marriage right now, it's going to be a lot of forgiveness. Now, we're not necessarily going to talk about cheating or anything like that because we ain't doing none of that. She already, if you guys never see me again, ever, she has took me. He
just went on to meet the Lord.
I went on to meet the Lord early. So we ain't going to do none of that. But anyways, you will have disagreements and different things like that, and you have to forgive each other. I have to be humble enough to come to her and say, baby, I'm sorry, can you please forgive me? And she got to be humble enough to actually accept the apology and actually forgive me in her heart. Now, it's one thing, because some people do this, it's one thing to say, okay, all right, I accept your apology, but you still acting like you don't. Once you forgive somebody, you're really going to let that thing go and just move on. But forgiveness is very important because you're going to have disagreements, you're going to have some bumps along the road and stuff like that. So that forgiveness is big and it's very important because she may have to forgive me, I may have to forgive her, but that's what it's all about, being honest with each other and asking for that forgiveness and just, moving on. You have anything else for forgiveness? All right, number 3, we have God first. That's Ecclesiastes 4:12. So how do you feel about that? Keeping God first.
I feel as though you should always keep God first no matter what, because if you don't, then your marriage or relationship will fail.
All right, give me some examples of that, keeping God first.
I would say just no matter what you're going through, when you feel like you don't have anybody, you can always, count on Him.
Okay. Yeah, keeping God first is definitely important because as a Christian man who have a relationship with God, you always going to be, as the man, and my wife have her own relationship with God, and then we have, things together, but as a man, you always should be praying and reading and studying, and you got to have a strong relationship with God because you need Him to help lead you in your decision making and the decisions you make in your relationship. Because, as a man of God, God going to deal with the man in certain things, and you'll have to present it to your family, your kids, your wife, different things like that. So keeping God first, because He have to be the center of the relationship, because it can't be your job first or your friends first or your family first. It have to be God. God created all of us, and like my wife said, that without God being the center of the relationship isn't going to work. We don't want to put God in the back burner or someone when we in trouble, we turn to Him. No, He's supposed to be the center. He's supposed to be the one directing, directing our path, my footsteps, giving me direction and guidance in this relationship so we can have a successful relationship. Because without God being first, like you said, the relationship isn't going to last. And like I said, we both was previously married before, and this is it. This is it. This is it, so, and that was one thing that I can honestly say, that God wasn't always first, in the past, and it's just, He have to be, that's one of the keys to the relationship right there, is keeping God first. Not just in a relationship, but in life, period. God have to always be number 1. Number 4, this one right here is always hard, but it goes for the man and the woman. Number 4, it say, wives, submit to your husband. That's Ephesians 5:22-24. So how do you feel about that as far as in a wife submitting to your husband?
Ladies,
how important is that?
If you have a husband, even if it's, your fiance, you don't want to be the man in the relationship. And when you get married, it's in the Bible that you submit to your husband, whether you want to or not. And trust me, take it from somebody who knows. I have been there and done that. I've had plenty of times where I have denied him, and if it wasn't something that I didn't want to do, I wasn't gonna do it. So I had to, really pray, and even he had to pray for me, because it was, it was just times where it was just look, you we can't be married if you're not gonna, follow me. And like following your husband and submitting to your husband is very important. And for men too, you know, I wouldn't say follow your wife, but support her and love her, and you know, submit to her as well. So I mean, what would you say, babe?
Yeah, like you said, it's very important. And that's one thing a lot of women don't want to do. And I understand, but that's not what the Bible says. Well, I understand that you have a lot of single women, a lot of women that's tired of men. Your upbringings can have something to do with the way you act in a relationship. And previous relationships can have an effect on the relationship that we in now, and different things that we do and different things we don't do. But one thing that stuck out what my dad said is that we have to let go our past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, any past relationships, any things that we got used to in the past or whatever, we gotta let all that go and start fresh. You know, start new. And now, like my dad said too, obviously if you telling your wife to do something wrong against God or committing a crime or something like that, please don't listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
But as your husband follow God and get direction from God, and he's leading his family and everything, you have to be submissive to him. And like my wife said, you have to follow him. Now, are you going to agree with everything he say or want to do everything? No. But it's your job to do it, because Adam was here by himself and Eve was brought here to help him, to be a help, not to be a burden or not to be, you know, a distraction or anything, but to help him, because God knew that Adam needed help. So that's what the wife's supposed to do. They're supposed to help. This ain't about control. We ain't talking about controlling your wife or whatever, nothing like that. You know, we ain't in the slavery days anymore, but just simply submitting. You know, your husband say, hey, you know, whatever, and don't fight with him. You know, don't be quick to fight with him. Just be like, okay, you know, I mean, all right.
You have to be your husband's helpmate,
Mm-hmm.
just like he has to be yours.
Yep, we in this together. Yep, we definitely in this together.
It is always important to be like, I guess, what would you say? Like, it's important to like follow your husband, submit to him, listen to him, you know, encourage him. Those are all things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it may be a time where, you know, he shouldn't have to go to his Christian friend Trey, or, oh Lord, I can say it, Trey.
It's okay.
Oh, but he shouldn't have to go to his, you know, any of his Christian friends, or, you know, he should be able to turn to his wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his wife should be able to, you know, should be able to pray for him, or, you know, encourage him, or just, you know, lift him up in whatever that y'all may be going through. Or, you know, say for instance, you know, whoever I'm talking to out there, that you're married and, you know, your husband had a bad day, or you possibly done had a bad day. Your husband is, oh babe, you know, it's okay, you know, we'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have to be able, vice versa, you have to be able to encourage him as well. Because when you don't encourage somebody, it can turn for the worse and take it from somebody who know, again, me, that same situation. I was really bad at night. It was, you know, plenty of times where he was able to, you know, he was trying to come to me but couldn't come to me because I didn't know what to tell him. So, you know, but sometimes you have to, if you don't know, you have to pray and ask God for direction.
Mm-hmm.
And he will always like steer you or give you the words and the mindset what to say.
Mm-hmm. Now that's real deep right there. That's real deep. I really like that. Number 5, husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church. That's Ephesians 5:25-30. Husband, love your wife. Now you know I love you now, so there's no doubt about that. So
Okay.
What you think about the husband loving his wife?
Husband, yes, should love his wife as if, you know, Christ loved the church. And well, I don't know about y'all, but my husband, listen, this man loves me inside and out, even on my worst days.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I love him inside and out, and even on his worst days. We're not perfect. We go through stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, we still love each other.
Yep. That's big for me. And the key thing that stick out is say your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be loving somebody else's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Love your wife as Christ loved the church. You know, that's if you really think about how Christ loved the church, which the church isn't the building. The people is the church. Jesus Christ loved us, the people. We are the church. You know, we are the foundation of the church or whatever. So if you read the Bible, I mean, it's so many things that he did as far as in blessing us. Even when we acted up, you know, he had to punish us, you know, whatever. That's love. You know, punishment is not always something bad. You know, sometimes punishment is love. And he did all of that for us. I have to love her. If I don't love her, God ain't gonna be happy with me. I have to love her and only her. I can't love no other women. I mean, other than like my mom and sister and kids and stuff like that. But like, you shouldn't. You gotta love your wife. And number 6 ties in it. Goes along with it. It say, wives, respect your husband. So that's Ephesians 5:33. So now we're talking about respect. So wives respecting your husband.
Okay. It's probably, you know, wives respecting your husband. That's something that you always want to do, no matter how you feel towards it. I mean, marriage life, I will tell you this, it is not easy. You're gonna argue, you're gonna go through stuff, but you don't want to lose respect for your husband, because let me tell you, if you do not have respect, you don't have trust, you don't have anything. And especially if you do not, well, I'm gonna reword this, if you don't have trust, if you don't have respect, and if you do not keep God first, you will, your marriage will fail, and then you won't have it. You won't have anything, no matter, you can, oh, it's gonna be okay, you know, but sometimes it don't, because sometimes you'll just be like, okay, well, what now? Like, you know, am I gonna respect my husband, or am I gonna do what I want to do? Because you can't be married and still doing what you want to do.
Now we're gonna, a lot of these topics is kind of similar, so we're gonna kind of jump down to number 9. And yeah, like you said, wives respect your husband, husbands respect your wife. You got to have the ultimate respect for each other, you know, at home and in public. You know, you have to respect each other, and, you know, just don't go, you know, it's simple, just respect, you know, I mean, that's big. Number 9 say, don't let anything separate you. That's Mark 10:9. Now, we know what things can possibly separate couples. So how do you feel about not letting anything separate you or come between you in your marriage?
Okay, well, how I feel about not letting anything separate you is, women and men, ladies, you know, or, you know, dudes or whatever, you will have trials and tribulations. You will have people that say they seen your husband with another girl, or that you will have, you know, people that, you know, females or even other people that says, you know, hey girl, I seen your husband with, you know, whoever. But you have to know your husband. Okay, and you have to know your husband. And as far as separating, the main 2 things that will separate you is lying and cheating, because they are neck and neck with each other. And that is something that you don't want to do, because that's the biggest betrayal. If you're lying to a person, you might as well, whatever you lie to them about, it's just like you're doing it. If you're thinking it, you're doing it. So you can't, like, you don't want to lie. You just always want to be honest and open, you know, in a relationship. Because let me tell you, coming from me, oh, honey, I was bad at it, real bad at it. But my husband, he knew when I was and when I wasn't. I mean, me and my husband, we've only been together 9 months, and we've been married for a couple of days now. And during those 9 months, we went through a lot of stuff. And I'm able to sit here and tell you about it because I'm not ashamed of it. I know I messed up. You know, not to say he didn't do anything to me. It was always me doing stuff to him. But I didn't have to, you know, tell him, you know, what I did, and I never cheated on him or anything like that. My biggest issue was lying. So, you know, that was my biggest issue. And let me tell you something, God will reveal it. like he will, and that doesn't go just for me, or that doesn't go just for him. That goes for anybody. If your spouse has a relationship with God, God will reveal it to whatever that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was things that, like, I was, talking about me again, or since one time of I'm talking about marriage. I was legally married when I met my husband. During the process of, even though me and my ex weren't together, it was, I was still legally married, and I never told him that. And it took, my mother-in-law, this lady had never seen me a day, she had seen me a day in her life, and she had a dream about me. And when she seen my picture for the first time, she told my husband, and she was like, that girl got, dirt on her. And that dirt was me being married, to him. So, ladies, I will tell you this as well as guys. If you're in, everyone, I believe there's someone out there for everybody. If you are in a relationship or you are married, or whatever, let that person know if it's good or bad. Don't lead them on, because that's, that can fail in the very beginning. So I feel like if you do have somebody and you have feelings for somebody else or whatever, and you think that you and that person is going to be serious, you let that person know, look, yes, I am married, or yes, I'm in a relationship, but it's not what you think. I'm trying to get out of it. And maybe, that person who you're trying to be with can help you get out of that. Because sometimes when you go through stuff like that, you really have to, like, get on your knees. Because you don't want to be like that. You don't. So, that's all I had.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, that was good. Okay. That was good because you focused a lot on different things in the inside that can separate you. I'm going to discuss a few things on the outside because, yes, we can do things to each other that can separate us and split us up, like you said, such as lying and cheating and stuff like that. But also on the outside, there can be things that can separate you, like people, like family, can separate you as well, because at the end of the day, you want it to be husband and wife.
Mm-hmm.
When you all old and gray and everything, you want your husband by you, you want your wife by you. But a lot of times we will allow people from the outside to come in and cause division and mess up our relationship. That's why when my dad married us, because he's the one who did it, he preached that. And I'm always telling my wife that too, that we got to be careful who we let in, because everyone isn't good for us. And I'm always telling her, along with myself, that we have to make sure we surround ourselves with like-minded people. We can't be fellowshipping with the world unless we trying to bring them, to Christ. But we shouldn't be fellowshipping with the world. And a lot of times, if we connect ourselves with those worldly people, those spirits and everything could jump on us and have us coming home acting different towards our spouse. And it could just cause problems. It can bring back bad habits and just all kinds of things that should be buried and gone. It can resurface and bring those things back. And it could just cause issues. So a lot of times it can be things on the outside that can separate us. It may not necessarily be people, it can be things on the outside that can separate us, because no woman want to feel like their husband loves something else more than them.
Yeah.
No man want to feel that either. I'm a man. We may not talk about it as much as a woman do, but we want to feel like we're number one. And I'm quite sure the woman want to feel like she's number one as well. And she don't want to feel like anything is more important to her or come before her. Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. See? So we got to be careful in a relationship on who we let in. And one thing I'm proud to say, my wife has done a complete 360. A complete 360. And I'm just so thankful for her, because it was one of them situations when I met her, she was lost, and one of the first things I said to her when I first started talking to her, I was like, can you help me spiritually? Anyone can give me worldly advice or tell me stuff like that, but I kept asking her, can you help me spiritually? If I'm down and out and I'm going through something, can you help me? And when I first met her, she was lost. So we talked about different things, and you know, despite her going to church and singing, beautiful voice, all that good stuff, she never really turned away from sin. Now we all sin, but it was a certain lifestyle that my wife had got used to, and she continued on down that path, despite going to church, despite singing. And when I met her, I was like, look, it have to be a complete turnaround. You know, the old you have to be gone. The old, you know, old things are passed away. We got to be new. So throughout our relationship, that was something that I was working on with her. On we have to let go, whether it's people or things or places that we used to go to, whatever. We have to let go things so we can move forward with our relationship and just our life in general. And I can honestly say that out of all the people who I witnessed to and helped throughout my life, my wife was one of the biggest challenges because she was someone connected to me. So for us to be connected and to, you know, to really have a successful relationship, we had to, it was things, sacrifices that was gonna have to be made. But I told her that I need you to do it in your heart. You know, it's all about the heart. You know, don't do it for me, do it for yourself and do it, you know, from your heart. And God will bless you, you know, for doing that. Because like I said, you know, I gave my life to Christ a long time ago, maybe 2008, 9, somewhere up in there. And my wife gave her life to Christ recently. You know, a lot of people think they be saved, but a lot of times they don't be, you know, because it's all about, it's a whole life-changing experience. You know, giving your life to Christ is, you know, letting go things from your past. You know, me and her talk about it all the time, you know, letting go music, letting go friends, you know, family, places you used to go, we can't go no more. Letting go clothing, letting go different items that we may have, you know, whatever. That stuff have to be let go, you know, because we don't want anything reminding us where we came from, because we're supposed to keep our head straight, you know, on the narrow, you know. And like you said too, having communication, you know, how do you feel about communication?
Communication is open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always want to have like open communication. Like I said to you before, you want to be honest and, you know, communication and trusting, all of that stuff. Because if you don't have that, it's gonna cause problems later on down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You rather, you know, communication. You want to be open as you possibly can, no matter what it is. Don't think just because you married that, oh, I got him now. No, because it doesn't. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That you know, absolutely, that is not how it works. Because if it's not meant to be, it won't work. And with us, he had dreams about, he was legally married at the time, and he had dreams for years about a girl, and that girl was me. You know, and it was so weird how we met, but you know, I thank God for him every day, because he is literally, you know, because he said he wasn't perfect himself, and he's still not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But he's, you know, a complete turnaround as well, even though he got saved years ago. But, you know, the man he is today is not what he was.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like the woman I am, that's not what I was, because I had to let go of friends, I had to let go of family, you know, and yes, it hurts, but if you really, well, no, I won't even say it hurts, but if you really love God and you know, you want, you know, God completely with your whole heart, then you will do whatever you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's all I have for today.
That's big too that you said that, because I mean, at the end of the day, I don't have a heaven or hell to put you in. You ain't have one. You don't have one to put me in. Our job is to kind of encourage each other, and if she see me going off track, she got to be like, "Hey, baby." And the same thing with me. You know, I mean, we got to encourage each other. We have to be there for each other. We have to pray for each other, and anything that we see in each other's path that can be negative, that impact our relationship or just impact your relationship with God, it's our job to speak up and say something, you know, to each other, because at the end of the day, it's all about heaven.
And one thing I will say, to ladies and men, keep your family and your friends out of your marriage or out of your relationship, because they're from the outside looking in. So, even with your parents, your mom, your dad, that's still family. Keep them out of your relationship. You don't want to bring them in because that alone can cause problems.
Yep. Because everybody got their own opinion on different things. That's why it's very important with the communication factor. Talk to each other. I encourage everyone to talk to each other. Don't, like my wife said, don't reach out to outside sources because their opinions may be different than what you feeling or what God is telling you, but you may listen to them and then you come home and start treating your wife different.
Because it can backfire on you.
It can backfire on you. And like I said, we're talking about marriage and that's big. Keep other people out. When people, even if you're going through something, man, how you doing, man? I'm good. That's what I tell people because as soon as you show an inch that something may possibly be wrong, the next thing girl, what's wrong? What's wrong? Now they trying to break you down so they can get you to start talking. As soon as you open your mouth and start talking, you done messed up now. Especially when you're dealing with worldly people. They never gonna give you godly advice. They always gonna give you something negative, and that may be what you want to hear at the time, but a Christian person would never give you negative advice or bad advice, worldly advice. They always gonna encourage you, lift you up, and just give you the will to keep on going and keep on fighting. And one thing I want to say too is that movie War Room. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when you're dealing with different things in your marriage and your relationships, don't fight each other. We have to fight those spirits that's in each other, that's causing us to behave the way we behaving. And that'll help you too, because a lot of times we attack each other, but it's not my wife, it's not me, it's the things that's in us. I had a strong spirit as well. The way I am now isn't the way I always been. I always had an issue with women, which I told her that. Lots of them, sleeping around and everything. Got delivered from that. And now, I'm a man of one wife. Dang sure don't need another one. But we ain't gonna talk about that. But
yeah, I just have to,
but another thing. I want to say this, you gotta be careful with your kids as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your kids can cause problems and can cause separation and you gotta be careful with that. I'm thankful that I have kids before my wife. My wife have a daughter before me. We all, they all of our kids or whatever, but I have previous kids, my wife have a kid. And one thing I can honestly say that all the kids love us both. Sometimes when you're dealing with stepkids, sometimes they may not like the spouse and they may cause problems. They may plot and plan and try to bring forth division in a relationship. Don't let your kids divide you. Even if it's your biological kids. Don't let your kids divide you. Don't let them in your ear, filling your head up with negative things towards your spouse. Because really, you're supposed to shut that down. Not just with your kids, but anybody. I shouldn't let nobody talk about her. If you're talking about her, that means you're talking about me. And vice versa. So don't let your kids come between. Make sure your kids stay in their place. Because at the end of the day, they are the kids, you're the parents. And what we do is very important. What we say, how we act around each other is very important. It's going to be a reflection on them. They see that we love each other. All they're going to do is just join in with love as well. So, you have anything else you want to say about marriage?
I think we covered it all.
We covered it all. So, there may be some things we left out, but we said a lot, hopefully.
Oh, I do got one more thing to say. Guys, as well as women, your husband has a prayer life, you may have a prayer life, but it's important that you have one together as well.
I'm glad you said that. I know it's not in the Bible, but like my dad said, a family that prays together stays together. That's very important. You got to have that prayer life, which that goes back to keeping God first. If you keep God first, you're going to be praying. You should pray together. Like me and my wife, we got blessed with this nice, beautiful place where we live at now. And now we have a table. So sometimes, occasionally, we do sit on the couch and watch movies and, eat. But sometimes we sit at the table. It's something special about sitting at the table and eating dinner together and talking about God and laughing and just enjoying each other's conversation and everything. So yeah, I'm glad you said that. So anything else? I think that's it. So like I said, share this video, leave in the comments down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hopefully this video helps someone, even if it just helped one person. But you know, we thankful. We're gonna continue to release videos. If you guys have any ideas or anything you want us to discuss or anything, just leave it down below. And yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. Bye.
All right, we'll see you guys.